Well, hello, here we are in Lublin. Troy Francis, James Tusk. We look like a Bros tribute act with the white t-shirts on. Entirely coincidental, wasn't coordinated, but it is bloody hot here. So really, it makes sense to wear white. How are you doing, James Tusk?
I'm good in support of an acquaintance who's just had a hair transplant. We're rocking new haircuts. So. Not quite the full Gascoigne style, but you know, getting there.
We're getting there. So we are in a cafe, obviously having a cup of tea, and we wanted to come on and talk about some more existential gloom, really. So what's the topic today? The topic today is, I've saved it, I've remembered it. The topic today is, should men blame women for their challenges in the dating marketplace? And the reason we wanted to talk about this is you get a lot of guys, particularly who are in the red pill space, the manosphere space, whatever you want to call it, in the comment sections and on blogs and things, and there's a lot of blame that gets apportioned to women for the challenges in today's dating marketplace. And I had a guy recently who came on my channel and he wrote a big comment underneath one of the videos, and he was saying, oh, you know, the dating market is so screwed these days, and he was basically describing how he hasn't had any action for 6 years, and he was saying, you know, it's feminism these days, it's social media, it's Instagram, and actually Instagram, we're going to do a separate video on that because that has been a factor in this for sure. But there's just this tendency to blame women. You know, women are too entitled, women's attitudes are this, you know, women want that, women want the other, and that's why it's so tough. But for me, as soon as I read that comment, I think, well, if a guy is not getting any action for six years, that's got to be on him, right?
And what was his circumstances? You know, how old? What
didn't go into details. So I just left a note underneath. And if you're watching, the offer still stands. Drop me an email and we can discuss. Because I then said, well, how old are you? Where are you based? Etc. I suspect, I don't know how old he is, but I suspect that he's probably based somewhere in like the USA, and he's probably in a place where things are just generally pretty tough. And so there's probably, I would imagine, for that guy, there are going to be things that he can do to improve his circumstances.
Sure.
He might need to lose weight, he might need to hit the gym, he might need to work on his social skills, and to be frank, he might need to get out of the USA or wherever it is he's living and go somewhere else where the dating market, you know, is a little bit more amenable, right?
Yeah, so to quote our old nemesis, stroke friend, John MLD, is it those four things he talks about that are the most important to work on, do you think? Or what are first and foremost of this guy? Let's say this guy is just if he's almost mapped out his own kind of value as a guy across different areas, they're all quite low. What would be the immediate things he should be fixing, hypothetically? We don't know anything about him. Or get in touch and maybe we could do an interview with you or something.
Get in touch. Well, John MLD talks about money, muscles, game, frame. Okay, so of those, I would say really the first one you need to be looking at is fitness, right? It's got to be the muscle side. It's got to be the gym.
Well, and fashion, because fashion could be fixed in an afternoon.
That's true.
Literally, blink of an eye, you suddenly start walking down the street in a tailored suit.
You can look as good as us.
Yeah, in a tailored suit, or you know, you actually go to a stylist who can recommend what's up, and it's just a no-brainer. I think fashion and grooming, they should be the immediate first thing because they're the easiest to fix.
You're right, yeah.
Fashion can be done.
So I went and got a trim today. We went to a really nice barber's place over in the other side of town, and really, really cool. Get a nice sharp haircut. It just immediately lifts you. It immediately improves your look. You can do that really quickly.
A well-dressed man is the equivalent of us seeing a girl with a perfect ass and tits on the beach. It really is. Women really respond to a fashionable man because it's not that most of us are fashion illiterate. And we're not talking about like you have to be wearing super expensive brands. Ollie Pearce, the fashion guy I recommend guys go to, always talks about this. The Primark stock is cut in the same factory as the Armani stock, right? The only difference is they stitch on a label. As long as it's good fit, good colour schemes, you understand how to put outfits together, you don't have to break the bank, but it makes a fucking massive difference. And also just for your own confidence levels. So look as good as possible, basic stuff like go to a barber as well. Get them to recommend your haircut based on shape, he's the expert. Stubble, basic stuff. I mean, this might take a bit longer, but laser eye surgery I did.
Yeah.
I used to have super bad acne, took Roaccutane, which was a strong acne.
Yeah, I did as well, yeah. It's worth, just on the haircut thing, it's actually worth spending a little bit more on a haircut, because I mean, I've gone through different, I've obviously had loads of different people cutting my hair over the years, and I've gone from spending like quite a lot of money to spending like absolutely sod all, because still in the UK, even in London, you can probably go and get a haircut for £7 somewhere if you're in like Kentish Town or something. But the problem is, if you pay £7, you're going to get a £7 haircut, right? It's actually worth going somewhere and maybe paying something more like £50 or upwards at least once, just so that they can have a look at you and they can assess and give you some suggestions of the kind of cut you need to get.
100%. So I'd say that's the first on the list, because that's the easiest thing to get done. Second thing on the list would be sign up to a gym and start getting in good shape, go to a trainer, start eating right. Basic, isn't it?
Like us.
Yeah, with a cheesecake.
Yeah. It's all about nutrition.
But you could get in good shape in 2 or 3 months. Like, if you really applied yourself, you go to a decent trainer. Obviously it's going to cost a bit of money, but as we always say, time is your most valuable asset. Go to an expert in the field, someone who can do what you want or has what you want, and get them to teach you. Trade money for time. It's a no-brainer. Don't try and figure it out on your own. And then the third thing would be actually start approaching. That'd be the obvious thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, then you've got the game part of it, right? Which is learning social skills. It's an umbrella term, isn't it?
It's an umbrella term, and you can sit there dick and handing it with theory, but really what you've got to go out and do is practice speaking to women.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. Put yourself out there. We always quote, speak to 20 new girls a week you don't know that you find attractive. Not even forget the detail of how to flirt, how to banter, how to tease, all this bullshit. Until you're doing just small talk with 20 women a week you didn't know you find attractive, drop all the rest of it, because that's the actionable step. Get that on autopilot, and then you can start to fiddle around with, okay, how do I flirt properly, how do I tease, all this stuff. Just go up to girls you don't know, say, hey, I had to say hi, you look good. Just insert small talk, bullshit small talk about anything, and then ask for a number after a few minutes. That's it. Do that, and once you're doing that with repeated, consistency over, say, 2-3 months, then you can start worrying about the actual,
the nuances
of the conversation. And again, this sounds scary if you don't approach it at the moment, but it shouldn't be. 1 to 3 situational approaches per day in the course of your day, on the way to work, at the gym, at the coffee shop, on the way to meet your friends, whatever. So you're not expecting, out to approach, it just happens to be there. Now, obviously, we're going to relate this back to if you do live in a fucking small Midwest town, right, and there's not a volume of approaches. We'll come on to it at the end that logistics on a micro and a macro level are actually key, but let's assume you live in a medium or large city. 1 to 3 approaches a day is perfectly manageable. So Monday to Friday, let's say you hit 10, and then you want to go out a high volume time, so a Friday, late afternoon, early evening, or a Saturday daytime where there's going to be a lot of people out and about, and you want to aim for maybe 10 approaches over 2 hours, right, max. Go out with a wing, it lowers anxiety. So there you go, that's your 20 approaches done. And then if you want to top that up with some, there's an app that we've been using, Muck Around with, we recommend that. Get in touch if you want to help with that. It's not Tinder, it's not Bumble, hint, but we will go into details if you get in touch. You could supplement with that. Just, maybe an hour, 2 hours a week, nothing major, no time investment. And then maybe if you're a younger guy, maybe 40 or below, would say go out and do some bar game as well. And spend 90 minutes charging around getting numbers. So minimum, if you really think about how that's been implemented into your life, it's not a big deal. It's not particularly time consuming, is it?
No, not at all. And then you've got the frame part of John's 4 things, right? Money, muscles, game, frame. And frame, I think, really is about deciding what you want as a man, what you want your life to look like, and having boundaries and sticking to those. And that's really a lifelong project, isn't it? But
yeah, I wouldn't even say that's particularly important just to get some immediate results. I think it's fashion, grooming, get in shape and start approaching.
No, I agree. So, but as a longer term thing, you've also got to start thinking, okay, so what do I actually want? What kind of people do I want to bring into my life?
Well, there's so many big things, aren't there? Like, if you do, a lot of people we know do jobs they fucking hate.
Yeah.
And if you're doing a job that you hate for 60 hours a week for months and years on end, that's going to grind you down as a human being to dust.
Yeah.
Because you essentially don't like the reality you're living in.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got to seize control of that and figure out that.
Yeah, 100%. So, but I mean, what do you think? Just going back to the original guy's point that actually it's women's fault, and this tendency for some guys to blame women or to blame society for their dating problems. Do you think there's any validity to that, or do you think that actually they're just completely pushing off responsibility onto something else?
I do think dating in the Anglosphere is harder. There's no debating it. Like, there's a reason we travel, which we find it easier to take abroad, and the women are hotter. You take London, for example, where we're both from. The dating market is competitive. You've got a lot of high-value men, and there's a lot of relatively unattractive women, and they've got this kind of self-entitlement thing, right? again, I'm not having a go at, you know, pro-forward thinking and stuff like that, but feminism really has fucked up the dating market in the Anglosphere, I think. Women have unrealistic expectations. Men are given mixed messages about, you know, you'll see adverts on the subway, on the tube, on the underground saying your staring could be sexual harassment, and yet on the same page you've got people like us telling guys to approach. So, and
you've got women as well saying, oh, it's much nicer to be approached
but then it's by a certain type of guy. But if she doesn't fancy the guy, it's sexual harassment. If she does fancy the guy, oh, you know, what a romantic thing. So it is a shit show of a market.
It's a minefield, yeah.
The gender roles are not polarised properly. You know, it's very hard. I mean, I always quote this example, but I was in Tulum, stopped a pretty decent-looking girl, blonde girl. She turned out to be Mexican, but had lived in the US for 10 years in a kind of, she was working in a bank, bit of a ball breaker, masculine, you know, corporate climber. Sat down playing the question game. You know, when you play that with a feminine girl in Eastern Europe, it's like, you know, what do you like to do? And she gives quite a feminine, delicate answer.
Yeah.
You know, I like to read Dostoevsky, pick flowers, or play a musical instrument. And she's like, I was like, you begin. She's like, what's your bottom line last? She didn't say it like that. She's like a Ganso. But she was like, what's your bottom line last year? But I made more money than you. And it wasn't even done in a playful kind of way. It was like, you know, combative. And it's just like, I don't want to be around that energy. I don't want to be around that masculine energy. So there is some validity to what the guy says.
But at the same time, if you're really in it for 6 years and you're just nothing's happening, then you've got to take a look at yourself, because I don't believe it's that difficult, even in the West. But the other thing is, of course, as we always say, if you're having difficulties where you are geographically, which, you know, it might be a tough market, then you have to get out. And that's on you, really. That's your responsibility. I mean, I was saying actually to you the other day when we were talking about this offline, you know, back in the day, you know, the heyday, I would do whatever it took to ensure that I had the dating life that I wanted. And if that meant travelling, if that meant going to a different city, whatever, I would just do whatever it took. What I wouldn't do would be to sit around in a small town and go, well, this is a bit rubbish, you know, so it's women today, what can you do? And then write comments about it online, you know. Like, you've got to be proactive. It's your life. You're the one who's, you know, you as a guy, we've got to be entrepreneurial, not only in business but in the dating market as well. We've got to go out and create opportunities for ourselves, right? And that's just how it is, I think. We live in a period of instant gratification and learned helplessness, don't we? Yeah. Learned helplessness, where it seems to be okay just to sit online and fucking complain about it. But as we know, it doesn't solve any problems, and it just makes you fundamentally unhappy. It doesn't. So the answer, I suppose, is somewhere in the middle, because yes, there is some validity to these complaints, and as we said, we're going to be doing another video where we're going to talk a bit more about Instagram and social media and the effects of those on the dating market, because has it had an effect? Yeah, damn right it has, of course. But at the same time, you've got to work with what you've got. You've got to look at the realities of the world as it is now and think, okay, well, these are the things I want. How do I get them? What do I have to do to get them? Do I have to maybe move to a different continent? If so, I should seriously consider that, because I've only got one chance and I want to have the kind of life I want to have. Yeah, it's that Darwinistic misquote, isn't it? Which is it's not. I don't think he actually quoted this. I remember reading online. He didn't actually say this, or there's a full thing to it, but just taking it as a thing. It's you know, it's not the strongest or most intelligent that survives. It's the most adaptable. Yeah, we have the only consistent in life is change. Yeah, and we have to adapt to the fact that life moves at a pace of knots, and you can't just sit on your arse complaining about stuff. You've got to get out there and make yourself better. You've got to make yourself better. You've got to make something happen. You can't just sit there and expect it to work out. It's not going to happen. Well, you've got to make yourself better, but you've also got to put yourself in the best possible place for success. Now, we had a client at the weekend, very high value dude, from Denmark, and what he was saying to us was that actually, you know, and this is a very well put together guy, very, you know, good looking, well dressed. I mean, really ticking all of the boxes. And he'd been out and about and socialising and meeting women in Denmark for the last couple of years, and while he'd had some results, they weren't stellar results, and then he comes across to Poland and joins us here, and he's doing exactly the same kind of thing, and he's still not pulling a muscle. And he's still not pulling a muscle. No, but you know, he's getting much more, you know, positive sort of feedback from the market, and that's just down to simple you know, we talk about arbitrage, we talk about travelling for dating and stuff like that. It's just down to simple sort of dating marketplace dynamics, really. And there's no point in not taking advantage.
There is no excuse in this day and age where it's never been easier in the world, you know, to travel in any time in history, human history we've lived, to not be getting on a plane and going somewhere to a place where you find the women attractive. It doesn't make any sense to me that people see this as cheating.
No.
There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's being smart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's adapting to the circumstances.
Well, why wouldn't you want to go somewhere where you find people that you're attracted to, and also you're probably a bit better received? I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer. And anyway, look, you know, it's all of our jobs to solve our reproductive problem.
Yeah, it's complete self-responsibility. No one's going to do it for you.
Exactly. So, if you haven't got laid for 6 years, what should they do?
Come and see us in Poland.
It's always the answer. The answer to every existential problem is come and see us in Poland.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to add. When this goes out, we're probably going to be in Warsaw by then. So 30th of June to the 12th of July we'll be there. So that's the option. Or Gdansk the weekend after. Get in touch as usual. Troy at Real Troy Francis or info@jamesstusk.com. And any questions or comments on this video, obviously post below. And if you've got any particular topics like this that you want covered in more of a long format, like we've been doing, then drop us an email and just say the topic. And if it's good, if it's something that we feel is going to resonate with the great unwashed, our loyal viewers,
yes,
then we will certainly we'll record
we'll certainly have a chat about it.
We'll do a dick in hand production, sitting in a cafe eating cheesecake and make it happen. Until next time.